That's a tragedy on immense proportions, that a third of babies are killed before they're even born, children as well.
Get your fucking hands off.
So what can be done about this national tragedy? Well, if you ask any other political party and most any other Scottish politician, they would tell you to quiet up, butt out, and keep it to yourself. As abortion is no tragedy, but a simple healthcare procedure, akin to getting a tooth pulled out.
Imagine if some strange cult went to the Scottish government and said, as part of our strange religion, what we want to do is to sacrifice one newborn baby per year. Will you let us do that? Just one, just for the sake of our religion. And imagine the Scottish government said, okay, fair enough, it's just one, and if that's your religion, if that's what you want to do, okay, we'll let you sacrifice one newborn baby every year. Imagine the outcry. Imagine the outcry. The Scottish government, I mean, they will be finished at the next election. That would be the most controversial thing a Scottish government has ever done in the entire history of Scotland. That would be an absolute outrage. People would be sickened that they would allow such a thing to take place. And yet, if the same thing happens on this scale, just a few weeks or a few months earlier, then it goes ahead virtually unchallenged in Scottish politics. But that's why we're here.
Where I'm standing right now falls within one of these buffer zones. And if I were standing here during the day, I would be a criminal, as is every other person who stands here. I had a conversation with one of these politicians, Jamie Halcrow-Johnson of the Conservatives, and he scoffed in my face and said that I, as a Christian, didn't understand prayer and that he knows better and that he knows that you can pray anywhere. The fact of the matter is that there's tangible help for women and their babies that this help has now been banned. A last chance for victims of coercion and abuse to ask for help has now been banned, as a disabled baby can be aborted up until birth. That includes Down syndrome, cleft lip, and club foot, and various other conditions. Now, I would say to you that I think all human life is valuable, and I think all human life has intrinsic value. And yet, our society seems to think otherwise. I'd put it to you that children with Down syndrome, do you think they're worth less than healthy children? I don't think so.
But I think in our society, I mean, the morality is on its head, isn't it? Where killing the unborn is repeatedly described as healthcare. And so if you just say something enough times, if you say it loud enough, if you say it for long enough, it makes it true. Healthcare doesn't aim at ending lives. Okay, healthcare is about curing diseases. It's about saving lives. Things that take lives are the opposite of healthcare. So it's a very sad situation we find ourselves in our society, where, say, things are completely inverted in this regard. But our job is to speak the simple truth, and to keep doing that.
One other passage, Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Note this, before I formed you in the womb. What does God say in His Word? He says that life begins at conception. So every single time a life is taken in the womb, that in the eyes of the living God is murder, and it is a great evil.
And I believe people's conscience within them tells them as well that lives are important. And that's why when people try to reject that and embrace the culture of death, there's something in them saying, no, this is not right. At the core of their being, people know that every human life matters. And I think that's why we see such anger from people who are trying to squash down their conscience, trying to ignore the voice of morality in their own head. They squash it down, and then it comes out in anger and hostility.
And there was real excitement about this, about having our baby. About a week or so later, very sadly, my wife basically started to lose the baby. and she had to go into hospital, and was there overnight, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. Wperhaps this has happened to you, and it's a very it's a traumatic experience. We were painting a house at the time, the indoors, and we were in your minds. You're just getting where the newborn would go, and yeah. After that, there was nobody who said to us, no member of our family, none of our friends, regardless of faith or not, said, well, it didn't really matter, did it? It wasn't really a baby, was it? It was just a jumble of cells. Nobody said that to us at all. They came around us, they hugged us, sometimes even cried with us as well, as we went through that trauma, really.
It takes a nation to create a Holocaust like this. It's not just the woman that's had the abortion, it's the man, it's the father of the baby. He's responsible as well. There are friends that are responsible that have said, yeah, it's right for you to have an abortion. There are parents that have said, oh no, we don't want this to spoil your studies. Let's take you to the abortion clinic. There's an education system that teaches that abortion is absolutely fine. There are lawmakers that make laws on abortion. They're responsible. There are politicians that sanction this. That's wrong as well. There's a church that is largely silent on this. The church should be the one voice that is stronger than any other, and the church is largely silent on this issue. They're responsible as well.
Opposing tonight. But the last thing I would say to anyone who was disagreeing with, we just look at this. Just look at this, straight at this placard, and then just ask yourself if that life is disposable, because that's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. This is a baby in the womb within the abortion time limit. So in Scotland, this baby could be killed with a couple of signatures from a couple of doctors, and the NHS would swing into action, and that baby could be killed. I think just looking at that image, and if people are going to disagree, at least they can face the truth of what they're believing by just looking at that image.